Surf's up, guys, it's Mauisnake here, and today we're going to be doing a Pick'ems video via the lens of Pickstop. If you guys haven't seen them before, visit them in the description box below. I'll be making some more videos with Pickstop in the coming months, weeks, whatever, what have you. And yeah, thanks for everybody that tuned in to my streams as I was covering the last few weeks of stuff. If you aren't following me on Twitch already, be sure to do so. I'm streaming way more this year than I have in prior years. So get in on the action. Find the cure to male loneliness. It's out there. And beyond that, join my league. Join the Mauisnake League on Pickstop. It's very easy. It's a way to show, one, your support, and two, it's a way to compare your results, your picks, and gloat to see if you do better than me. I don't think you will, because I'm pretty sure about these picks for the play-in here. I think a lot of these are actually pretty straightforward if we really get into the meat and bones of this. Cloud9 over Rebels, I'm going to take that one all day. Eternal Fire versus Bet Boom. This is actually probably one of the closer ones. I think that Eternal Fire have had some half-decent results lately. They beat Maus, they beat Ikla, they beat MIBR. And Bet Boom, on the other hand, has been, I'd say, a little bit shakier. They lost to Cloud9 in a pretty convincing way. I feel like these teams are probably the most evenly matched throughout the opening round. I have a pretty hard time choosing one strongly over the other, but I just feel like Eternal Fire has a little bit more team chemistry, whereas Bet Boom, I feel like even though I like the pace changes that this team can make in a single T-side half, and it's actually shown that Nafany can call in a different style than what he was doing with Cloud9/Gambit, I just feel like sometimes it's kind of these calls out of spawn, even if they are slower. I don't know if the mid-rounding is as strong, whereas Eternal Fire, I've actually kind of liked their map pool as well, so I will be going with Eternal Fire here. Probably the closest one for me. Heroic versus Astralis. This is a matchup that you think they'd be fighting for the pride of Denmark. Not really the case anymore with how Heroic has been. And I will say that Astralis, to me, has looked like the cleanly better team. They've taken down Vitality in the Blast Premier Spring groups. And that was a pretty good win for them, and they actually played them very closely again, whereas Heroic, on the other hand, losing to Big, losing to Cloud9, still feel like they're putting a lot of things together for themselves, so Astralis are going to be taking this one, and I think Astralis actually have a pretty good chance to go pretty deep at this event if they can step their game up just a little bit from what we saw at Blast. Now, ENCE versus Big, I'm going to be taking Big in this one. Just really haven't yet seen the proof of concept yet for ENCE. On top of that, the last time that ENCE even played, they lost to Big. A lot has changed for ENCE in that time, given that they've really swapped around. Their players became practically a Polish roster plus Glaive, so kind of a weird storyline to follow. But Big is a team that actually really impressed me at the Blast Premier Spring Groups, despite the fact that they missed the Major already. They didn't even make it to the RMR. They were able to take down Heroic and Cloud9. And that win versus Cloud9 was sick, by the way. Like, Montu has been playing really damn well for this Big team, and I'm not even really sure. Like, when I look at him versus, say, Hades, I think probably 3 months ago I would have said Hades was the better opper. Montu might just be the best Polish opper right now. I know I'm saying Polish in air quotes, though, but yeah, he's been overall pretty good, pretty impressive. So I think that he can keep up some of that form. It's just that Big has a weird knack for some of their players at the very bottom end kind of not holding up their end of the bargain. Like, I really want to see more from Sin, because I feel like the trio right now of Crimbo, Tabson, and the new Montu that I'm getting is quite good. I just want to see Prosus and Sin just kind of play a little bit tighter. Just like, it seemed like they sometimes don't seem to revert to teamwork. I feel like sometimes I just see Sin do his own thing, and it's like he gets distracted by a shiny thing in the round, and it's like, dude, come on, your teammate's right there. Go for the trade. Play together. And on top of that, I think you guys know I am a huge Crimbo fan, so I really do want to see Big win this. But even without that, I actually do think Big is the better team in a more unbiased way. Furia versus Mongols, another team here, or another matchup here. And when it comes down to this one, I think that Furia on paper are definitely the stronger team. They won the Elisa event kind of towards the tail end of last year. I haven't really seen too much of them since then. Like, the last matchup they played was 7 weeks ago, so it's very difficult for me to say, can they maintain that form? Whereas Mongols, on the other hand, have been kind of decimating their local Asian competition. Some games have been close, mostly just to Tai Lu, but everybody else, they're just blowing them out of the water. And so this is the one where I'm just not really sure, because there's not a lot of information to go off of. But I think that Furia, by and large, has just been the better team over the course of history. And I feel like the Mongols have a lot of upset potential. I just don't know if that's today and that's now. Spirit Apex, this is going to be, as far as I know, Spirit playing with Donk, playing with Magix, who they didn't have at the Blast Premier Spring groups. And so, unfortunately, we weren't able to really see this roster come to be in the way that we were all excited for when Shiro joined it. And it's like, oh my God, this is just a direct upgrade over Art Frost. And so I think that this is pretty clearly Spirit. I'm not even going to really get too much into it. Apex, on the other hand, have had kind of a slew of changes. They're playing with Sense now. There's Stiko's back on the lineup. Like these players aren't bad on Apex, but Spirit have some transcendent talent on it in Shiro and Donk. And Chopper's just been he's an IGL that's made it to multiple major playoffs, so or deep into major runs. So yeah, that's convincing enough for me. Gamer Legion versus M80. I would have actually kind of wanted to take the underdog M80 bet if Gamer Legion didn't take down FaZe at the Blast Spring groups. So that's where I'm going to have to side with Gamer Legion on this one. I actually just feel like they've been playing well enough that this is still, to me, kind of a close one, but it's one where the proof of concept is there for Gamer Legion. I've seen them play incredibly well versus FaZe. That wasn't FaZe playing up to necessarily the standard that I'm used to for them, but I do feel like Gamer Legion has an okay map pool right now. Like their overpass is probably going to be a nice one for them in this matchup. And for the last matchup here, Rooster VP, this is probably the easiest by far. I'm just going to pick VP in this one, and then we can keep moving through this upper final before we get through the lower bracket there. Cloud9 versus Eternal Fire. Even though C9 still have their woes with their opping situation, I will be picking them over Eternal Fire. Astral's big. I've just seen, the win over Vitality made me believe in a lot for this Astral's team, and I think that by and large, the top to bottom roster here, like your fifth best player on Astralis is Stare, who has actually been playing his role very well, and your fifth best player on Big is probably Prosis or Sin. I think it's Sin, actually. And that's actually a marked difference, because Stare could probably be, he might even be, if he were on Big, he'd be the maybe fourth best player, maybe even some days the third best player until this Montu came into be. So I think the calling actually for Big in some ways is better. I liked a lot of their out of spawn calls at Blast spring groups, but I don't think that's enough to take down Astralis, who have some real heavy hitters and multiple top 20 players. They have 4 top 20 players. It's hard for me to imagine Big kind of winning this one. Hurts me to say that, but it's true. Furia versus Spirit. I will be taking Spirit here. I just feel like Spirit overall are a team that has more of a chance to go a little bit deeper in this tournament just based off of firepower alone. In fact, if I were to really rate Spirit overall at this tournament, I could safely say they're a top 5 team. I think the only teams that are clearly above them are Vitality and FaZe. And then I would say that there's a few teams that they maybe could be at their level. It's just we haven't seen it yet. So like teams like VP, teams like Astralis, G2, I think those are all teams that are probably, and actually, you know what, Navi's been really sick too lately. So those are teams that I maybe would be concerned about Spirit playing against right now. But Furia seems to be a tier below that for me. So I'm not, I would take Spirit right now for sure. K-Serrato might just be one of, it's right now, it's just like we haven't seen Donk. We've seen Donk at a smaller land right now, but until I see a little, I don't really think there's just anybody else from Furia where I'm really scared about them for Spirit. That being said, who knows what Fury's been cooking up. Again, like we haven't seen these teams play for forever. Like I've never seen the Spirit roster play still. So Gamer Legion VP, I'm easily taking VP in this one. VP is a top 5 team for me right now in the world. Going down here, Rebels Bet Boom, easily Bet Boom. Heroic Ents, that's a tougher one. I'll come back to that. Mongols Apex. I think I'm going to be going with Apex in this one just because they're playing European competition more readily. I really, the thing is, Mongols has always had so much upset potential that I don't make that decision lightly. And I'm kind of just resorting to EU-centric brain. The Eurocentric brain is taking over right now. And that's kind of what's forcing me to this decision. M80 versus Rooster, I will be going with M80 for sure. They beat Liquid in a BO3. So that's pretty convincing stuff. And now M80 versus Eternal Fire. I think this is a pretty even one also. Actually, you know what? I'll finish out Heroic Ends here. It's just really close for me. I've just seen more from Heroic lately in the Blast, where they were almost capable of beating some teams, but those teams were like big. So I'm not really too impressed by them either. This is a tough one. This is really a tough one. This to me feels like a really big coin flip, and it really depends on the form that Ents comes into this with. I am gonna go with Heroic just because I think they've had more experience lately, and I need Glaive to prove himself to me. I really do need Glaive to prove himself to me before I can just start saying, yep, because I saw him win in 6 years ago, I'm gonna suddenly just keep giving him a pass. Like, until I see it, I can't really pick him. Now, Gamer Legion Bet Boom, I will be going with Gamer Legion actually. Just again, I'm citing the victory that they had over FaZe, so I'll throw their name into the hat here. And for Furia Heroic, I will be going with Furia, even though, yeah, maybe Heroic have some more matches lately. Furia, it's just still, the core of this lineup is okay. Like, it's actually pretty solid, whereas this Heroic one's still finding its chemistry. Big Apex, I'll be going with Big. The fact that Big have actually, overall, just been, they beat Cloud9, you know, and Cloud9 to me is just better than Apex. So Big 2-0ing Cloud9 is such a, and that was a close game too, where I thought, ooh, Big could really choke this one right now. I'm really worried about them. I'm freaking out. And then they didn't. They actually didn't choke. And that to me restored some of my faith in this Big team. Eternal Fire versus M80. Yeah, I really do want to pick M80 because they beat Liquid in a BO3, but I think that Liquid was kind of in a fledgling state, whereas Eternal Fire just has a lot more chemistry as a unit. And so these are my picks for the play-in. Cloud9, Astralis, Spirit, VP, Gamer Legion, Furia, Big, and Eternal Fire getting it through. I think the teams that maybe you'd want to put through beyond these would have been, say, maybe Bet Boom. Like, it's kind of like these teams right here. I don't think any of these bottom teams are very likely to make it through for me. But, yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable with these. So, submitting that right now. And so I'll be coming back for the later stages of this one. And yeah, guys, be sure to check out Pickstop. Be sure to check out their product, their video, or their, you know, their pick'ems, whatever. Like, it is what it is. You guys see what it is. Why do I have to explain what it is? You guys know exactly what you just saw. Do I need to really summarize everything for you guys? You guys aren't babies. You guys aren't babies. Grow up. Grow up. As always, being toxic is a choice.